Hi, today I'm trying to make meat floss or pork floss. This is an ingredient that has been very dear to me a few years back. A friend from Malaysia introduced me to this. So I'm going to do a version of it. Sure, there are examples out there on the internet, maybe with a different version of how I will cook this. But let's see how this goes. Mind the cats around me, I'm cooking with meat, so you will hear them around. So what I have here is 1 kilo of pork. I think this is loin, and I'll weight this at the end to see how less of this is going to end up as the final dish. So I will cut this now and then boil it. You need to boil it for a while so the fibers of the meat loosen as much as possible. The final thing you want to end up with is going to be something like a coarse coarse floss sort of texture. It's going to be dehydrated by cooking it after it's boiled and broken apart. So let's see how this goes. I'm gonna chop this in smaller pieces so it's going to boil faster. So my recommendation would be to do it against the grain but also keep some of the fibers. So it's going to be blocks of meat instead of slices because I want the fibers to remain of maybe 2-3 centimeters length. So the final texture is gonna be that of fibers, individual ones that you can see and enjoy. So this is gonna end up in chops of meat, like cubes maybe, instead of just small slices. Alright, I'm gonna quickly wash my hands and set the pot on the stove. Okay, I have here about 1.5 liters of water. I will not season it yet. First step is to get this to a boil and leave it there for a while. I think the lower the simmering and maybe the longer you simmer it, the results are gonna be better, but I don't know how patient I am with this. As you know how low and slow maybe pulled pork is ending up after hours and hours of cooking or slow roasting. That's the kind of separation of fibers I will be looking for. To accelerate that process, if you don't want to boil it for a long time, you can mash the fibers so they break apart. Right. See you after this is boiled. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'm gonna turn this off and let everything cool down. Okay, so this has now cooled down. Let me see how easily it breaks apart. Right, so you can do it by hand at this point. I prepared this in the past one time and it wasn't as easy to rip it apart. I think this is because I boiled it enough this time. So I mentioned in the beginning, depending on how you cut the meat, you will get longer threads, like the meat fibers. This is maybe 2.5 centimeters, and I think this is gonna be enough. This goes then to be fried, and that's the moment when you add your salt and any spices you want. If you want to make it more on the Asian side or European or wherever you're from, you add your own condiments. I keep getting cats around me as I work with meat. So you break it apart as much as you can now by hand. I've seen on the internet some people, when they really want to get the floss consistency, so like candy floss sort of texture, people put it in bags and bash it with something heavy, so like a mallet. Other people use blenders. I don't mind the larger chunks because I'm gonna cook them enough to be dehydrated, and I keep them in the fridge anyway. This is, for me, it's a condiment and ingredient in certain dishes. You can eat it as is. I know I've done that in the past. I just open up the open up the box and eat straight from it. What I use it for is I add it to any egg dish, or maybe it's a ramen bowl, a sandwich, pasta even. It depends what meat you use. I used pork. You can use beef, you can use, I think also chicken works. Any stringy fiber of meat is gonna do that for you. Here you go. The meat tax. I don't like to give my cats raw meat, so they had to wait until this is cooked. Second one coming. I paid my tax. So depending how well you pull these apart now, your final result is gonna be better, or maybe more to your liking. I don't mind the larger bits, the chunks, but maybe some purists are gonna be out there. No, you have to get it to a string consistency, so much finer. This is gonna go on heat and be cooked. I will use some fat and spices. I thought I'm gonna need the fork here, but I just ended up doing it all by hand. Okay, let me wash my hands and I'll get to cooking this. Okay, let's turn this on. I will be using lard since I have pork prepared here. I thought this is gonna be really good combination. any excess, I'm just gonna remove the end. And as far as spices go, it's salt and some coriander corns. So the entire seed. Wait, I still have to pay taxes apparently. Here we go. It's essentially getting fried and dehydrated. It still has a lot of the water in it, so this way you're going to also dry it while cooking in fat. And I said at the end I'm gonna weigh it. It was 1 kilo of raw meat, and we'll see with how much we end up in the end. I want this to begin cooking, and then I will add the coriander seed because they might burn. So I'm gonna let it start cooking. While I keep doing this, the fibers are still gonna break further and further. So if you want to make smaller bits, you can just insist with this. I did this also with some leftover pulled pork. I did a bigger batch than I needed, and instead of just leaving it in the fridge as leftover, I used it to make pork floss. It's supposed to darken in color, like any fried meat. We'll see. As long as it hisses, it still has water in it, so I want to release as much water from this as I can. The key to this keeping well in the fridge is losing that water, basically. Having it be as dry as you can get it to. Okay, I'm going to start add my coriander. This is the one condiment I want to add to this. It was my favorite so far. You can also make it spicy, but if you use it as a condiment or ingredient too, maybe don't make it spicy. You can add it separately. Okay, it's no longer steaming, it's now smoking. So we're getting close to that final result. Already smells good. I'm gonna lower the heat a bit. It got too hot for this. Should have turned down the flame a bit earlier, but I don't mind if I get more burnt bits. The more you pound it like this, the finer the fibers. It's already looking good for me. I'm just looking to maybe brown it a bit further. If I would add more fat, that would do it, but I think I've added just enough this time. If I add more fat, I have to cook it longer. I think it's already good. You can take more salt, or just taste it up. It is flavorful, just not salty enough. You can take quite a bit more salt. Okay, I think this is it for the cooking part. Turning this off. Now I want to weigh it and see how much we lost from 1 kilo. Let's see how much it turns out to be. And that is almost 500 grams, so 490 something. So we lost half the weight of the initial meat quantity. That was water. So yeah, it's tempting to use it now. It's fresh, it smells really good, and it has that salt and coriander aroma and pork. But in a few days I know it's gonna be way better. So I think I'm gonna let it cool down completely, then move it to the fridge and use it when I cook something else. Like sprinkle it on top or just as a side next to something like eggs, or put it in a sandwich. Cool, hope you try something like this out. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.